everyone present here. A very good afternoon. Myself, Rutuja Shane.
And myself Chaitanya Rane.
We warmly welcome you all to this event conducted by our very own Vidyalankar Institute of Technology. Today, in this competitive world, bookish knowledge is not enough to lead a practical life. To swim, one has to get immersed in water instead of standing on the bank. And if you are interested in learning how to swim, then you are at the right place. As Vidyalankar offers a wide spectrum of co-curricular, extracurricular, and athletic opportunities in addition to academics, which stands on the pillars of many student councils and clubs.
The synesthesia of sports, culture, literature, and technical forums at VIT harnesses and creative potential of students, keeping in the view the taste of millennial generation that shall equip the students as successful professional and future global leaders.
Success means a lot to all of us, as at the end, whatever we are doing today or in our future is obviously to achieve success. Right, Chaitanya?
Yes, obviously.
But it is important to remember that success is no accident. It's pure hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you're doing or learning to do. This shows that there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs.
Yes, and there are no shortcuts for the success.
So here we have with us Gaurang Manjrekar, our VIT engineering alumni who has successfully climbed this ladder of success.
Gaurang Manjrekar is the founder and CEO of Football Paradise, an international award-winning football outlet with over 2 lakh plus fans that focuses on football literature and art. Before pursuing Football Paradise full-time, Gaurang spent 4 years working as a senior management and technology strategy for Ernst Young, New York. He is also one of the 22 entrepreneurs from the East Coast of USA coached by Stanford's Graduate School of Business in 2016, a pioneer student of, a pioneer student of Harvard Business School online program and a certified product manager from the Product School, New York. Also, Gaurang is a public speaker and has spoken at IIT Bombay's Global Entrepreneurship Summit 2018, Carnegie Mellon MBA program, University of North Carolina Chapel Hill's MBA program, Western India Football Association, among others. Isn't it amazing, Rutuja?
Yes, for sure.
I welcome you, sir. I would like you to take over the session now.
Thank you, both of you. Is my presentation up? Can I start directly? Thank you. And I'm getting some echo from Chaitanya and Rituja's side. Okay, perfect. So hi everyone to who all have joined in. I'm Gaurang, and it was a flattering introduction, but to be honest, I'm just a VIT alumni. I was part of the electronics engineering program from 2008 to 2012, and I graduated not knowing what I really wanted to do. But looking back, obviously there are a lot of things which I felt was invaluable that I learned from VIT, which I feel like from time to time I can give back. So this is one of it. I usually give a lot of lectures at different universities, and most of them are very technical. Uh, this time though, I understand that you are first year students and you want something which is a little bit fun. So I have created a small presentation, and I hope you like it. I will although keep more time at the end so that you can ask questions which would be more valuable to you, like something that you can learn from since you're just starting on from your engineering journey. But more than anything else, this is like just an introduction of what I feel is like some 10 commandments, a field guide to engineering. But don't take this seriously. This field guide is completely biased. It's subjective, based on my life, so it can be completely wrong. It may not work for you, but more often than not, from what I've seen from people in similar positions who have succeeded, if you follow this, you should be okay in like 4 or 5 years time. So without further ado, I'll just go ahead with it. Uh, First of all, welcome to the grind. A life of an engineer is not that easy. Most of what you have experienced right now, and it's sad because I know we are in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone is at home. you are kind of missing the charm of going to VIT itself. The college is amazing, but part of being in an engineering college is meeting your fellow professionals, or I mean students at this point. But most of it, what you'll be feeling at this point of time is just, what am I doing? I'm just constantly, like, sleeping, getting up, attending lectures, doing my assignments, wasting time on the internet and sleeping. And that is completely fine. To be honest, if you think that this is something new, uh, trust me, it has been going on since way before. Like, the photos of myself and some of my batchmates from back in 2008 to 12, and we were too, inundated with assignments. We had like a lot of assignments almost all the time. The one time you are kind of finish an assignment, you always had the next one coming in. So don't be intimidated by it. Just welcome to, what this is. Just try to understand that they're trying to impart a lot of subjects on you, and it's completely okay to be overwhelmed by it, but just push through this phase. First year of engineering especially is a bit tough, because you are kind of going from junior college to getting into really technical subjects. But more importantly, I feel the volume of work that you do in the first year is intense. So it's fine if you feel that right now, but just welcome to this exciting world of engineering. um, the second part of it is equally important. uh, from what I've seen, and I mean, most of the professors won't approve of this, but you're not going to use that equation in the future. You probably will go through differential equations, you'll probably go through integration and all of that, and you'll have like crazy amount of mathematics involved. Um in my experience, and I worked in a tech field, and I have friends who work in a tech field, and this is at the bleeding edge of technology. It's very likely that you probably will not use the mathematics behind it. I mean, like, solving those equations. However, you're definitely and most definitely going to use the concepts. So my takeaway from this is, try to make sure that even if you uh, are not excelling at it, try to understand what is happening behind the mathematical concepts. And what I mean by this is, if you look at differential equation, if you look at calculus, if you look at integration, all of it basically, it's an integral part of most of what companies use today. And I'll give a simple example. Like, think of most of the tech firms, which you can see on the screen right now. They use artificial intelligence in some way or some form, maybe in the part of machine learning, deep learning, AI, natural language processing. All of this involves mathematics behind it. So you, and the whole reason for you to go through this tough phase of, understand, if you don't like mathematics, by the way, if you love mathematics, you're golden. But if you do not like mathematics, it's fine. But the whole idea here is to understand how mathematics works, because tomorrow, when you are going to, apply it at a certain scale, you shouldn't be blind to what's happening under the engine. Because even though there are software programming for what we are doing at this stage, you should always understand why certain things come to fruition. It's like, understanding area under a curve. As simple as that. uh, when I say that, it's equally imperative that, where you have to understand concepts. Now, uh, over the 4 years of engineering, you're probably going to go to, 50 subjects, and let's assume each subject has 10 concepts, at least 10 concepts in it. That's like an equivalent of 500 topics that you actually have to know. Now that is vast, right? And it's inhuman to look back 4 years later to recall something which you did in first year of engineering. And that's just saying after you graduate, and that's the feeling you'll get, that, I don't know what I did for the last 4 years. But it's fine, because it's so much amount of data and information being thrown at you. You probably will have a haystack of information of different concepts which you do understand, but it's okay if you don't understand the fine details of it eventually. But my point being, when you're at it, you probably should try your best to do it. But while you're trying to get a hold of a certain concept which is intricate or which is incredibly complex, if you don't understand it, that's fine. But you have to make sure that you understand what the broader concept is, because the whole idea here is to understand that why are you learning it, rather than, how can you apply it at this stage. Because if you basically look at the concept before, right? If you look at one house as something which is as a concept, if you get stuck in the details, you probably can't identify one house from the other. But if you look at it from a broader range of subjects or why you're learning these subjects, you probably can say that, okay, this is the map of Mumbai. And I, for example, right now live in Parel and I want to go to South Bombay. So I know that there are multiple options to go through it. And that basically is the crux of what you have to do, gain from here. Uh, it's important because understanding relations between concepts which are really, very minute or something that you don't understand, it's important to understand the perspective in the whole field of engineering as such. A simple example would be, let's say if you started programming, something like, what is a class and what's object of class. You probably won't think of, hey, I don't know how I'm going to use it. But it's important to understand, why are people building classes, why are you building objects, how is it better from an efficiency perspective, from a scalability perspective. It's okay to not be, a complete expert in it, but what is more important is to take the takeaway from it of why is the entire field of computer engineering based on it, right? So make sure that you don't lose your end goal of what you're trying to do while you're studying. The next thing, which I know it's really sad at this point because it's a pandemic, but get to know your class. It's You'll find some really, really inspirational people out there, and over the so personal experience, and I know I have to, like, try to give you a very realistic expectation of what you should get. You're going to spend the next 4 years of your life with these 50 to 60 people, or if it's 100 people then it's great, but you're going to spend the 4 years of your life with these 60 people. uh, might as well get close to them, because these are the same people who you'll get friends for life. They're the same people who are going to probably go abroad, going to start their own startup, they're going to do something big in the future, and they will have a different relationship to you as they would have with someone else once they graduate from college. And what I mean by that is very simple. Anyone from my class, we are still in touch, by the way. We graduated 9 years ago. And The whole point is, if anyone needs anything, we don't even think. It's like, we just, okay, he needs help, we have to do it. It's the same relation that you're going to have with your classmates. So, one thing that I strongly, strongly advocate is creating a culture within your class so that you hang out together, create groups, go for movies, go play something together, go for events, anything that is apart from your engineering coursework. I would highly recommend you do something which you enjoy, because there's something that, it's not part of the curriculum, but tomorrow these are the people who, when you know them, it's going to be invaluable. So make sure you get to know your class, and intimately, not just because of what they do, but intimately as friends, as what they like, what their hopes are, what their passions are, what their dreams are. You have a lot of time together. I know, yet you probably might not have been in class together, but once it starts, make sure you make a lot of friends, and make sure you have, like, a great bond between each other. And while you're at it, make sure you also get to know your batch, because many of my friends are from my batch too. And what is important is understanding that the network that you have in VIT, where you have about, like, 500 students across your entire year, is super valuable when you graduate. Because when you graduate, you understand that there are people from other streams who might pursue something that you like in the future, because you do not know what you do like right now, right? So it's completely fine. So keep an open mind, try to make friends outside your class as well. And it trust me, like, everyone just wants to know each other. So what is one thing which I loved is I actually made a lot of friends outside my batch. Not only my batch, I actually made a lot of friends from my senior years, from my juniors, all of it. So if you once you get in and once you get comfortable with your college life, make sure you get to know your batch as well, because I feel the network that you develop at VIT is going to be one for your lifetime. uh, Participate in college events. This is actually a very underrated part of VIT, and I strongly feel this because I was part of a lot of college events. I was part of the sports council, cultural council, all of it basically, and I feel that I learned more in cultural events than I did inside classes. And it's just a personal opinion, but the part of it which is more important is understanding that there is a life outside of engineering, and VIT gives you that scope to do that, right? And it's important when you have those councils, committees in place, just go and volunteer. It's your first year of engineering, might as well just enjoy what's happening out there, right? So I strongly recommend doing this, because from another perspective, I'll give you a different perspective as well, where think of it like a real world project. When you organize events in your college, you are definitely part of a team, where you are working with other people, which are like about a team of maybe 10 or 200. It depends on how big that event is. But once you do that, you actually are getting real world skills, because at the end of the day, when you go into a work life, what are you going to do? You're going to work on projects, you're going to work on products, you're going to work on programs. And who manages these are all people. Whether you're a software developer or whether you're a project manager, you are at the end of the day dealing with people. So it's incredibly important that, especially in engineering, because most of us are nerds, is incredibly important to develop that social aspect, where you understand how to work with other people, how different people work, and how one size does not fit all. You basically have to understand different characters, different personalities, and learn from them, because this is like, think of it as like a sandbox where you are allowed to fail, make mistakes. No one is going to do anything about it. There's no bottom line effect on it. So take advantage of it while you're in college. It's a very rewarding space to be in. So try and inquire about the amount of events going on, and try to see how you can get involved. And if there are none, reach out to the college teachers and tell them, like, I want to start something which is not here, and here is my idea for it, can you help? And more often than not, we've been there in VIT where teachers are very receptive. Like, I remember Gondar was something like, it was a Marathi cultural fest which we started. There was nothing like that before. So we pitched an idea and they were open to it. So, and I know that there are many other events which were never before but were proposed to the council and they were okay with it. So this is your opportunity to show leadership. It fails, it fails, it doesn't matter, but you get that chance which you wouldn't have gotten anyways. um, this is incredibly important. This is your time to find your passion. You have 4 years of your life where there's nothing, that you have no responsibility apart from just doing well in college. uh, Find your passion. This is the time where you can experiment, you can fail, you can try 15 things and not like all 15 of them, and it's completely fine. I was lucky because I found a lot of people also loving football while I was at VIT, because I anyways loved football. But it's like an important time in your life where you have a lot of free time. Just don't waste it on things where you're passively consuming stuff like Netflix shows, or wasting time on movies, television, anything like that. Instead, or if you're watching on movies and television, it's fine. But my point being, like, if you're wasting time, you might as well waste it picking up a hobby, trying something which you feel like you might be good at, or exploring something where you're uncomfortable with. Because at the end of the day, there are enough things noted about passion, and there are a lot of TED talks about it, which people can't quantify. There is no way for people to tell you that this works. But I can tell you that this works, and the problem is I can't tell you how, because there is no straight path for it. But what is more important is the things that you do when you're passionate about a certain field or a topic. You don't kind of expect the reward behind it. So, which basically means that you never know where you're going to end up. So for me, football, I love playing football, and I kept writing on the side. And it was surprising that Football Paradise, which was a hobby which was going on, eventually grew to a website which basically was the first one to win an international award from India at Old Trafford. So it was incredibly humbling at that point. But for me, I was not working towards that award. I was working towards my passion, and that is the simplest example of what I can do. I can tell you. And the other part which I want to relay through this is, it's completely okay to not like engineering. Like, there are it's quite possible that out of 50 subjects you're going to not like 40 of them, and that's okay. I know that this might be like a controversial opinion among many peers, but it's a very realistic opinion that sometimes you have to do things to just push through it. You'll realize years later that actually the kind of things that you learn from engineering are not the concepts, but it is all about the mindset. You are in engineering because you have to think like an engineer, which means that you are a problem solver. As simple as that. Just don't overcomplicate it. You're an engineer because you are trying to fix things. Now, if you have joined electronics engineering or computer engineering, it depends, or mechanical engineering, the whole idea here is the mindset required to solve a problem is what engineering imparts you. And that is the one thing that you need to come out of engineering with. And if you haven't come out with an engineering mindset, then you have failed. Because it's great to have 80%, 70%, 90%, or I don't know how the grades are these days. But my point being that it you probably need to work on problem solving skills, skills which are much more relevant in the real world. And as you can see by exemplary examples from most recently Elon Musk, he says that an MBA is a waste. It's similarly where there's a case of college degrees being a waste. And I don't think that's completely true, while especially because I've gained a lot from college degrees. But it is partially true from the point of view that you have to understand why you're pursuing that degree. So if you eventually get out of engineering with all the effort that you've put in over 4 years, the one thing that you need to, and you absolutely must have to come out, is with the mindset of having that capability of, I can solve this. And if you're just starting out, so it's fine if you don't know what I'm talking about. But eventually, when it comes together, you have to be in a position where you can see different problems, and then you can start thinking about problems. Oh, I can see how I can solve this problem. And you don't have to solve the problem. That's the best part. In engineering, everything is theory. But the point is, you have to think about how you can solve the problem, and how is it good from an engineering perspective. That engineering is like a verb, so you have to understand that your skills are not only going to be relevant, let's say, in your industry. You can go outside your industry. You can go to startups, you can go to financial services, you can go anywhere else where that mindset is useful. I work in sports media tech. It has it has got a lot to do with engineering, but technically it has got nothing to do with electronics engineering. And that's completely fine. I'm completely comfortable with it, because a lot of skills that I learned from engineering are something that I use right now. With that said, I hope that you got something useful from this. Um, Mainly because I wanted to keep it very light and fluffy. Usually, presentations that I give are incredibly product oriented and detailed, but it's important for you to just understand, when you're entering engineering, to not be overwhelmed with the amount of data that you're going to be exposed to. So if you have any questions which I can help resolve, I kept a lot of time free at the end, so that I can actually answer a lot of questions, because I feel like relatively I'm still close to being the same kid who graduated from engineering. So I do understand what you're going through at this point of time, and I still stay in touch with a lot of faculty and some students. So it's fine if it can be any amateur question. Just feel free to ask me. And that said, I think I'm done with my presentation.
Yes, sir. I have a one question.
Go ahead.
How did you achieve such a big success at the age of 22?
Which success though? I'm not 22 anymore. I'm 30.
No, at 22 you started at the football association. That one.
No, so football paradise I started when I was 18,
Okay.
and that's like about 12 years ago. I started when I was in Ruya, in my junior college, and that was something. I'm getting my voice echoed. Can you mute yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I started when I was 18, and that's like 12 years ago. And I don't think while I started it, I was looking forward to gaining something out of it from a you know achievement perspective, rewards perspective, anything which basically has a monetary or fame value to it. I looked at it from the point of view of, I love football and I really want to channelize this energy somewhere, and I did it by playing football. I mean, I don't know if Sonali ma'am is in this conference, but uh, you can ask her at any point of time. When I entered college, I used to always go through the football ground and then go to the college. uh, I never actually I always had a pair of studs in my bag, but I almost never had a book in my bag. So it's like that kind of craze which I already had beforehand. And I don't think I looked at it from a rewards perspective, which is why I feel it's really important for you to understand what your passion is. Some people are lucky to know it beforehand, and some people have to find it, which is why it's like a great spot for the next 4 years. I feel all of you can, if you don't know already, you can actually start thinking towards it.
Sir, I have a question for you. Who is your favorite? Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah,
Who is your
yeah.
favorite? Messi or Ronaldo?
Oh, okay. I mean, this is not this is not an engineering question, but my personal favorite is Messi, and I have several reasons for it. Part of it is because I feel like there will be a player like Ronaldo in the future. I completely have respect for Ronaldo with respect to the amount of hard work he puts in, the kind of things he's achieved, etc. But I feel that there will definitely be another Ronaldo in the future. I do not think there will be another Messi. It's surreal how he plays, the kind of things he's achieved. It's sad with what is going on with his contract, but I feel among the two, if I have to pick, it'll be Messi.
One more question, sir. What would you say to anyone who's pursuing interest a little unconventional?
So, what do you mean by a little unconventional? Could you give me an example?
Shreya is
I'll
asking, sir, like I would know what does she means. Unconventional means something like out of the box.
Sorry, you cut off. I mean, I understand what unconventional means by definition, but can you give me an example of what do you mean by unconventional? As in, uh, can you tell me what is unconventional in today's day? Because I feel like no matter what it is, it's probably going to be fine. Uh, I mean, unless I feel, I mean, most of the things which I have come across, unconventional things actually do work. To be honest, like I'll give an example of Football Paradise, right? In 2008, when I started it, or 2000, I mean, around 2010, 11, when we kind of focused on a niche of football literature and art, it was unconventional for us to have that, especially when most of the people in the world were focusing on BuzzFeed, and that model was succeeding, where people wanted clickbait articles, like 5 things you need to know about Messi, 6 things you know about Ronaldo, etc. But what we focused on was incredibly in depth. We wrote 1,000, 2,000 word pieces. It was in literature, so it was actually boring for most people. I don't think that's conventional. It was more about storytelling as such, but it worked for our favor. We wrote about things like Brexit's effect on football. We wrote about Mahatma Gandhi's effect on football. We wrote about the effect of World War on football, the effect of Nazism on football. Now, do these belong in football writing? No, they don't. But did we pursue it? Yeah. Uh, so it really depends on what is her definition of unconventional. If you can give an example, I'll tell you if it's yes or no.
No, there is no examples as such in the comments, so I
So
can't
most
say
likely the
anything
answer
more
is going to
about
be
it.
yes.
But I have, yeah. So one more question, sir. What was your biggest failure and how did you overcome it?
I think. I mean, yeah, Football Paradise. It would be my biggest failure, to be honest. I it. So here's the thing, right? You have to look at it from the perspective of like running it as a startup, and I am right now running it as a startup where I am hoping to make sure that it, is succeeding to such an extent where it is financially viable for me to pursue it as a career, which I'm doing at this point of time, which is good. But at this point of time, it is it has failed. Maybe 1 year later, I will tell you that it has succeeded. But at this point of time, it has failed, and I'm completely okay with it. Part of learning as an entrepreneur is understanding how you're failing and why you're failing. And for me, as long as I've identified how I failed and how I'm going to improve on those failures, I think that is my takeaway. Because at the end of the day, what I've learned is it's persistence that wins and not talent. So as long as I know where I'm heading towards, as long as the data is there to prove that this is going to work, I just have to keep my head still and work on it. So I think to give you some tips, if you're failing at some places, try to set yourself some indicators for success. Like, for example, let's say I want 100 people visiting the website. That's a simple indicator. If that's your measure of success, measure how much you did. You got 80, good. You need 20 to improve. Once you hit 100, are you going to stop there? You probably going to go for 500. So it's some simple things like that, and you can extend this logic to anything that you're doing. It might be a hobby, it might be playing football, it might be playing the guitar, it might be art, anything. Just set yourself certain small goals which you can achieve, and feel free to fail, and fail often but fail fast. That's the main idea here.
So I have a one question for you.
After
What
Yeah.
type of
this,
difficulties have you
yes,
faced
please.
during your journey?
uh Okay. Can you mute yourself? Okay, thank you. Uh, okay, let me see. There have been a lot, and to be honest, it's been a 12-year journey, right? So I can talk for an hour only about the difficulties, and we probably won't go anywhere. But I'll tell you what are the most difficult ones in terms of how do I cope with it. The first one was pursuing Football Paradise part time. I did it during my junior college, during my undergrad, during my masters, during my time as a consultant at Ernst and Young. And one of the difficult parts of doing it was pursuing it at the end of the day when you're totally drained. Like, you're tired, you're done with your entire day, and you come home and you just don't have the energy to do it. But then the moment that's where again the passion comes in. Like the moment you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. But as a human being, you are going to get tired. So I think managing it along with something else was one big difficulty which I faced. The second big difficulty which I faced was, under was gaining confidence of certain people in my life, or just the amount of people who I spoke with to convince them that this is going to work. Because it's something which obviously happens when you have an idea which is out of the blue, which you have not seen successes elsewhere, and the first thing that you're going to get is doubt. So endless doubts from people close to you, people far from you, all of them. So the second difficulty which I would definitely put down is having a strong mindset on how do you go about it, because everyone is going to question you. Everyone is going to question you. Everyone is going to say this is not going to work, and it's one of the things which there's no magic pill. There's nothing that I can read, or there's nothing I can do which will make me feel better about it. The only thing that I know which is going to work is my belief that this is going to work. So I feel that is the second difficulty which I faced, and the third probably will be um, trying to understand how to execute this in India, because I came from the US to India to make this work, and one of the difficulties which I faced out here was trying to get investors here interested in it, because here cricket is a much bigger sport, and despite winning international awards, we were like, way ahead. We are way ahead of our times with respect to the Indian market, which is why it's a bit unfortunate. But that's where the third part of the difficulty is, because whenever we've been pitching here to investors, and one of the difficult part of it is trying to get stakeholder buy-in to understand if they actually love what we do. And I feel that that's probably it. So going through all three of them, it's more like, understanding how can you keep yourself together and how can you steadily overcome it.
Yes, sir, for sure. One more question is there. So, how did you develop an entrepreneurial mindset as well as skills required for it?
uh well, it's really, oh, hi Gaurang. It's really, okay, so an entrepreneurial mindset is something which basically it's actually very close to an engineering mindset, but uh, the only added feature to it is we look out for places where a business can be built. So for example, I'll give a simple example. Like an engineer will make sure that certain things work, but an entrepreneurial mindset is where the certain things work, and they also try to see if that thing can be pitched to a market or a viable market where people are going to buy it or people are going to use it. uh, a robot works, but if no one's going to use it, it's a good engineering mindset. It's not a good entrepreneurial mindset. So if you are looking to find that entrepreneurial mindset, it basically is trying to understand what is the value derived from everything that's happening around you. Look at anything that has been developed as a startup in recent years, right? Look at things like Uber or Swiggy. They are built by engineers, but they are built on an entrepreneurial mindset that they're bringing convenience to you. So the whole idea here is you have to mix um, the engineering mindset of problem solving and the entrepreneurial mindset of understanding where that problem needs to be solved. So the only difference here would be that, look out for places of value where you feel that, this is a problem worth solving. If you can identify, I mean, that's where the money is, right? Like, if you can identify a problem, a real world problem which is present, and if you know a solution to it, then you definitely have an entrepreneurial mindset. And it's not something which is ingrained. You can actually totally learn it. I totally disagree with people who are like born entrepreneurs. That's nonsense. But I feel it's more like, if you can constantly look at, you can study business cases, you can look at YouTube videos which basically state how certain businesses grew right from scratch, and you can try to learn from their journey on how they did certain things. What was the problem that they were solving? Just kind of look at the one main thing that I can tell you is, just look at the problem that they were solving. You have about 100 apps installed on your phone. Just look at each app and try to see what is the problem that they're solving. That's it. That's how you develop your entrepreneurial mindset.
So there's one question from the YouTube. I would like to take it.
Sorry.
One question from YouTube.
Sure.
How can we develop or observe the passion that we have in us throughout the 4 years?
You you'll know it. I mean, there's no there's okay. There is nothing that I can say right now which will basically, make you believe that you love doing something without uh, you know uh, without any benefit in it. Like, to be honest, I used to play football about 3, 4, 5 times a week, sometimes 3 times a day. And I mean, sometimes 3 times a day, not every day. But my point being, like, I didn't do it so I could gain something from it. I literally gained nothing from it apart from the fact that I love doing it. You can say that I was fit. I enjoyed playing it. I was good at it, all of that. But the point being, I was doing that because I enjoyed it. And that's it. You'll know if you're passionate about something. If you're passionate about cooking, you'll know. If you're passionate about, uh, you know, reading, you'll know. If you're passionate about analyzing stuff, you'll know. You will know. And when you know it, you'll have like an unconditional bond towards it. You'll be unconditionally attracted towards uh, that particular field or domain, or hobby or anything. Like, it might be a skill, it might be writing, it might be playing the guitar or the piano, anything. But when you do that, you definitely will know. You don't have to observe it. People will tell you, oh, you're good at this, or you basically will feel happier when you do it. I think that's basically just the one thing which you have to keep an eye out for.
Yes, sir. And I have one more question for you. Once we achieve our goals, it is possible that we may develop ego attitude. Hence, what should we do that in the future, when we achieve success, that the success should not get into our heads and to remain grounded? How can we stay grounded?
That's actually an amazing question. Whoever asked that, yeah, it's it's incredibly important, and I'll tell you why. uh, okay, so one of the things which you can do, for example, is understanding that success is always fleeting. It's always fleeting. It's a temporary feeling. It's never going to be like, oh, you're successful. So whenever, like, for example, if I were to listen to the introduction these two gave me, I totally don't deserve it. Like, I am not going to listen to it, because my point being, I probably just have taken it one step at a time. And if I attach my value to something that they have conferred upon me, I probably am debasing myself, which I don't want at this point of time. So that's one thing. Do not attach yourself to any achievements that you get. It's as simple as that. The second part of it, how can you keep yourself grounded, is very simple. Try and find friends who are as smart or smarter than you, preferably smarter than you. That is like a short way for you to always be grounded, because when you succeed, you'll know that there are better people out there who can succeed, and you are constantly, and if they're your friends, they'll always be on your side, which is great. which means that anytime you have a good idea, you can always talk with them, you can always brainstorm with them, they'll always be happy to talk to you as friends, and there is no selfishness in this. It's just mutually as friends. You'll do the same for them tomorrow. But the point being, like, if they are smarter than you, you'll always keep improving. There was a study done, I think, about you being an average of the five people you interact with the most. So make sure you selectively pick the five smartest people, or the five. What you want from, it depends on what you want from life, right? You want happy people around you, just take five happy people around you. But my point being that if you are on this path of success, eventually you have to pick some really ambitious people who understand what you're willing to put in terms of the work you're going to put in, because they probably want to do the same thing. So, and it's very important to find your, you know the network of people. Birds of the same feather flock together. That's a saying which is true, which basically means that if you actually are going to find ambitious people, they are going to keep you on the ground. You don't have to worry about it. Most of my friends are incredibly smart, so there's no scope of me being smarter. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Sir, I
I'll
have one
surely
question.
remember this.
I have one question for you, sir.
Yeah.
In this internet era, we students can get distracted very easily. Then what should we do to remain focused towards our goals?
Being aware of it. That is basically the one thing, right? Because even we had internet, and we had high speed internet even back then. We probably didn't have 4G on our phones. That is killing you. So what I would suggest is having limits on your phone. Set notifications off. It doesn't help you at all. um, it does not help you at all. You can respond to that message an hour later, no one's going to lie. So I feel it's important to develop habits of working, let's say, at something consistently for an hour at least, to understand, like, focus is a skill. It's like a muscle which you have to develop, and if you can't do that at this stage, you're going to, I mean, you can totally learn this at any point of time in your life, but the point being that this is like, you're still too young. This is like the right time in your life where you can put in those habits where you can not get distracted by a phone. Our phones, like, I understand it's a pandemic right now and we're all stuck to our phones and all of that, but eventually try to see that if you can deflect your attention from the phone to something else. Something else can be anything. If you want to watch a TV show, watch a TV show, but phone is not good because you are not focused on something. Like, if you're watching an hour's episode on TV, it's completely fine, as opposed to you doing something and being interrupted 25 times because of your phone in an hour. That ruins your ability to focus. So I think if you can stay away from your phone, or if you can put the notifications off, if you can develop the habit. In fact, I would recommend you rather play games on a PlayStation if you want, because that exercises muscles which your phone will never do. But do not waste time chatting on the phone, scrolling on Facebook, doom scrolling on Twitter, Reddit. I mean, Reddit is still, I mean, relatively fine, but it's still a waste of time. So try to see how you can get out of that as early in your career as possible. Because I know that you'll be surprised with the amount of people who struggle with that at this age. I mean, in my age, at 30, and it's a real problem. Everyone's facing it, so it's fine. But acknowledge the problem and try to see how you can get away around it.
Yes, it's very difficult to keep our phones aside for sure. Here, I have one more question. What is football paradise exactly?
Okay, so Football Paradise is it was a blog started by me when I was 18, and it eventually ended up being a website. What we do is we focus on long form editorials, which basically means we write articles which are about 1,000 2,000 words. They're incredibly long, so you need to be really passionate about football, or just a good reader to actually enjoy certain pieces. Uh, what Football Paradise actually is, it's football's intersection with various fields like culture, politics, arts, history, science, geopolitics, society, you name it. It's an incredibly diverse and in-depth platform which actually focuses on football's intersection with all of these fields. So Like for example, we spoke about how, like the few examples I gave before, right? Did you know that Mahatma Gandhi started a football club in Africa for to combat racism? But this has got nothing to do with football, right? Apart from him starting a football club, but it has real world implications. So that is what we do. As a startup, Football Paradise, what we are trying to do is we are building an online platform for long form editorials where eventually we want fans across the world to contribute. Uh, at this point of time as well, everything that you see on the website is completely contributed by individuals from across the world. We have writers and artists from the USA, parts of Europe, India, everywhere basically. And we basically are at such a level where we are compared with the best publications in the world. It My goal is to make this a completely fan powered platform to make sure that everything from the writing as well as the artwork is done by fans across the world.
So there's one more question. How to react after hitting rock bottom and how to gain back the lost confidence?
Oh, sure. I mean, this is a nice question, and I appreciate you being anonymous on this. It's fine. I have been there, and here is a piece of advice which I can give you because I know that this will work. If you think that you've hit rock bottom, know one thing that no matter what you do from this point onwards, it's going to be upwards. So that is like the biggest takeaway when you've hit rock bottom. Like anything that you do is going to be success because you failed so much that you can't fail anymore. Like that's it. That's basically it. And when you know this, and when you know that nothing else matters, it's fine. So now let's figure a way out how do I take the next steps. From a very practical perspective, I feel hitting rock bottom is a very mental state rather than anything else in your happening in your life. So all you need to do is try to focus on what you can do with the things that you're doing in your daily life where you can excel it in smaller pieces. I would recommend keeping a journal. It helped me, so I hope it helps you. I would recommend meditation. It helped me, so I hope it helps you. And apart from this, just do not, and it's incredibly important because of this entire social media lifestyle where everyone keeps on posting that they are successful. It's incredibly important to not judge yourself. It's okay. It's completely okay to waste time. Trust me. I mean, this is very counterintuitive to everything that I've said right now. But if you're in that state where you're probably depressed, and that's probably because of your phone, if you're probably not doing anything which is worthwhile, then this is one thing. The other part of it is, I feel, which we have been ignoring, is we are actually social animals. So try to reach out to friends. It's never bad to reach out to friends. Make friends if you don't have one, and talk it out with them. Keep on talking to them. Enjoy a mutual. Pick up a hobby. That's really easy. But you will gain confidence in the unlikeliest of things. You don't have to excel in academics to gain confidence. You can just excel in cricket. You can excel in football. You can excel in playing one piece of music. You can excel in writing one status update. That's it. That's all it takes. But don't judge yourself. It's fine to be human, you know, with everything that's going on.
Yes, sir. One more question. Can being a CR or DCR of class help in developing leadership skills?
As long as it doesn't go to your head, yes. Yeah, I mean, sure. But it I if you want, okay, real leaders basically don't need a title. That's what I feel. You don't need to be a CR or a DCR to do something which involves you developing leadership skills. You want leadership skills, build something like build a startup. Go out there and build something. You build a project which works. Create. It can be something as amateur as creating a team in your locality which goes and competes in competition. It can be as amateur as being good at a game on your PlayStation or an Xbox and competing in competition. Leadership, or maybe organizing something. But leadership skill does not involve, if anything, it does not involve a title. You can be a leader in a group of four. You don't need a title for that.
I have one question for you.
Sure.
What are the important key points we should keep in the mind during the journey of engineering?
I gave an entire presentation on it. But
Maybe some extra points.
I mean, okay. Um, have fun, man. I mean, I'll tell you what, and this part is not biased. This part is actually genuinely true, and it comes from the heart. Uh, my time in engineering, I genuinely felt those are the best years of my life, and those 4 years are the years which are also the best 4 years of my friends' life, some of my batchmates, some of my classmates. So, given you do it right with your class, it is very likely going to be the best years of your life. So, the tips for doing well in engineering is having fun. Like, have fun with respect to your class, have fun trying to know people, have fun participating in events, talking with teachers. I mean, do everything but have fun. That's the most important thing. I feel like if you focus too much on getting good grades, focusing on that 0.1 pointer, I mean, at the end of the day, that doesn't help. You can't crack an interview. You're not going to get a top job by getting top grades. You're going to get a top job by being a top person. So invest the next 4 years of your life in investing in yourself. Try to improve yourself, be a better person, try to gain skills, try to gain hobbies, try to uh, do something. Also, this is also the only time in your life where you have so much free time that you probably can build a startup on the side, and if it works, you're a millionaire. But if it works, you basically have something that have something to do for your life. If it doesn't work, it's fine. You can anyways do something after your masters, or your if you're planning to do a job, etc. But this is the only point of time where you have free resources, you have free expertise, and you have free time. This never occur in your life again. So it really depends on what you want to gain out of engineering. To be honest, I I did not uh, grow professionally during my engineering years, but I grew a lot as a person during my engineering years, and I still look back at it fondly. I loved my time at VIT.
So, can you share some memory that you will never forget about in the campus or something like that? Some
Like
memory which like
oh, I
stayed
mean,
with you forever.
it's not one memory, right? I mean, I was part of the electronics batch, 28 to 2012, and we were known as an extremely notorious batch. I know such things are not possible at this stage, because I know you. I mean, once PIT has become much stricter with attendance, I know all of that. But during that times, it was like our class was so united that we used to bunk as a class as a whole, and all of us were on the blacklist. And most of the teachers know this, right? So I look back at it fondly right now, because people who attended lectures back then, they kind of don't remember what they learned. So that's the thing, right? But I have memories of doing what I did with all my classmates, whether we had fun, whether we played football, whether we went outside, did something fun. I feel, but something which is extremely specific at VIT, which would be probably the cultural fest that I took parts in, the football tournaments that I won. They have like special meaning, despite me doing a lot of things outside of VIT, which were of much greater importance. But I just feel like, from a emotional perspective, I just feel like those events were uh, extremely precious to me, and I still look back at it fondly. Not just me, I can tell you that everyone from my class looks back at it fondly. So it's like the feeling is mutual. Uh, the teachers also remember us. I remember we had been to Professor Akshar Sood's wedding back then. So it's like we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun during our time.
So, I think there are no more questions in the chat box. So, should I end it up,
Sure.
or would you like to say something more?
Sorry.
Would you like to share something more?
No, I mean, unless you have some questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I do have 5 minutes, but that aside, I think don't put too much pressure on yourself is the only thing that I can tell you. And also understand that engineering, like the entire field of engineering, is a blessing. And I'll tell you, because you will probably be more employable than everyone else out there, because once you get, like I said, if you actually followed what I've told you today, you probably will get out of engineering with an engineering mindset. which means that you can apply your skills to any field. Uh, and that is what you need to learn. You don't need to, overburden yourself with, I don't remember this formula, or I don't remember how this works. Just understand at a higher level on how things work and how you are going to take that problem solving approach. If you can do that, you're golden. So just enjoy your time, make a lot of friends. I hope you find love, all of it, because the next 4 years of your life are going to be incredibly precious. So make the most out of it. That's all I can say.
Thank you, sir. Yes, after listening to you, I can surely say that success, if we want to achieve success, we just have to believe in ourselves. Once we believe in ourselves, then we can achieve anything in our life. Right, sir?
Yeah, you define your success. If you want to be happy, you're successful today.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. It was surely an enlightening experience. I think that we are privileged enough that an opportunity to have a talk with you. Also, I would like to thank VIT for giving us this golden opportunity.
Thank you everyone present today in this session. And at the end, I would like to say about vision without action is daydream and action without vision is nightmare. So stay focused, chase your dreams and keep moving towards your goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.